my name is Hester Middelweerd. I work for Gallery Jacques Barrère, based in Paris. Originally I'm from Amsterdam, and we are very happy to showcase our Dragon King on TEFAF.
So there are a lot of gods and goddesses at TEFAF. Most of them look quite dainty and quite sweet, but this one's just ferocious. So why is that? Can you tell us something about this statue?
It's a very strong sculpture. It's because in China, during the Song Dynasty, a little bit earlier, in mythology, dragons were very important. And this specific Dragon King, there were 4, is the ruler of the Northern Sea. So he ruled the weather, he ruled the clouds, he could help with good circumstances for sailors, and he needs to look strong because of this. So they lacquered his face black, his eyes are black glass. It's made out of one block of wood. It gives a strong, certain appearance because he had to rule the seas, so you have to be a strong god to do this.
Good afternoon, I'm Tom Davies, the director of the Daniel Katz Gallery in London. We specialise in European sculpture from antiquity right the way through to the 20th century, but with a particular emphasis on historical European sculpture. This large-scale terracotta modello is by an artist called Christophe Veyrier, made in the 17th century in France, showing the demigod Silenus nurturing the infant Bacchus. So the young Bacchus, the god of wine, was nurtured by the Dionysian follower of the young god, who was considered the most wise and to have the most wisdom of these rather Bacchic followers, which is not to say that he spent most of his life inebriated.
It's actually on the back, it's nice, you have a list of the patrons who helped pay for the restoration in the 17th century. So they gave everyone a shout out. And now we managed to get our hands on it and showcase it at TEFAF, so we're really happy about this.
How rare are these?
These are quite rare. Even though they were featured a lot during the 10th century in China and a little earlier as well, because it was such an important persona. Sometimes it went almost cult-like with these type of dragons. So it's not necessarily a Buddhist god like we know them. They tend to have some temples that are a little bit more dark to pray for these dragons.
Yeah, and so the eyes are made of glass.
The eyes are made of glass.
Why is that?
Because it's beautiful. It gives him a very strong, intense look. He's scary but sweet at the same time. He has something soft but secure. It's a special piece to us.
Silenus is associated with the cult of the horse, and he was sometimes depicted with horse ears, but here he has regular godly human ears. But what's quite interesting, you see, is this drape here which comes down by his knee actually has the face of a horse, so it's a sort of morphing of a horse-like form which helps identify the demigod as Silenus.
My name is Jasper Hillegers. We're here at the stand of Salomon Lilian, our gallery. Here we are in front of a fantastic painting by Paul de Vos. Paul de Vos was a painter in Antwerp. He lived in the first half of the 17th century. This painting depicts the god of the sea, Neptune, with one of his tritons here at the beach. And here's an enormous pile of fish. It's a very spectacular painting.
This sculpture was made as a model for an over life-size marble sculpture, which was made for a house built by the great artist Pierre Puget in Aix-en-Provence, in France. This sculpture was and is 2 meters 30 in height and is currently on display in the Musée des Beaux-Arts in Marseille. But because of its nature of being outside in a courtyard, it is actually slightly weather beaten and the surface has been slightly removed, and therefore you don't get to appreciate all of the clever marks that the sculpture left on it, whereas this model has actually retained its most fresh original surface and is perhaps the sort of truest expression of the original idea.
And so would this have been used in like a procession or a temple?
Not necessarily a procession because it's so heavy, but it had a temple where sailors would come, and before their travels they would pray or offer things to him, so they would have a nice journey, a safe trip, basically.
It's a nice piece. How much are you asking for it?
Thank you. Our asking price is 2 million euros.
When we acquired this sculpture some years ago, believe it or not, it was actually gilded and it was covered in a later gold slip of paint, which we realised was not original through scientific tests. So we removed it to take it back to the sort of true intention and original material, and it revealed these interesting dots in ink across the terracotta surface at various points and key geometric areas, and this is used for the enlargement technique of pointing, whereby the sculptor's calipers would pick onto the different parts and then enlarge 3 times over, and this sculpture is exactly a third of the size of the marble sculpture in Marseille. So it's a really interesting insight into the making process of 18th century 17th century sculpture, and yeah, it's a wonderful thing. It is only 750,000 euros.
We see seals, we see tortoises, actually not sea animals, but land tortoises from South America. And very special, our painting is signed over here, Paul de Vos, Veyrier. So Paul de Vos made this. It is actually very interesting. The pile of fish is found in other paintings as well. One in the Kunsthistorisches Museum, also a very large painting, and another painting in the Liechtenstein collection with the same fish again. And the fact that our painting is signed makes one wonder if those paintings were actually done by the Paul de Vos as well. What we found out recently too is that there's an inventory number over here, number 99. The inventory number corresponds with the inventory of the Marquess de Leganés, very important commissioner of Paul de Vos. We find this painting back in the inventory in 1637, which is right about the time that this painting was painted. So he must have been the commissioner of this painting. There's other paintings by Paul de Vos in his collection that are now in the Prado. Of the same size, so they probably belong together, and they were meant for decorating his country house. What we see here is the real Triumph of Neptune with his wife Amphitrite. He's riding his triumphant wagon over the waves with his entourage of tritons and his nereids, and his wagon is pulled by seahorses. And it's all just a spectacle. It's basically one big advertisement for the fruits of the sea.